Hello and welcome. I'm Pravir, and today's session is an ideal pulsed electromagnetic field device based on a multidimensional model of light. So in this session, I want to first draw attention to key components that we're going to need to understand to some degree to create the attributes of an ideal PMF device. In particular, we'll go over some PMF background uh, at just a very quickly. And then more importantly, we'll dive into the idea of multidimensionality and deeper powers of light. We'll consider the Sun-Earth complex and the different manifestations of light. These will be the core components. This will then allow us to think about more deeply about the light's transformative alchemy. And then this will all lead to practical considerations and implications for the PMF device. And I'll then wrap with a conclusion. So getting to key components, let's just start with PMF first. So PMF can be thought of as belonging to that category of biohacking. The term biohacking came into being with a computer professional in Silicon Valley who himself was suffering from overweight, brain fog, chronic fatigue, decided to use the principles of computer tech hacking on his own personal biology. And so there's different kinds of biohacking. So for example, dietary biohacking, energy biohacking, physical health biohacking. And in particular, we can think about pulsed electromagnetic field or PEMF biohacking falling under the physical health biohacking category. And it's known that the exercise of external electromagnetic fields has profound physiological effects. There's been many, many studies done. And here I'll just draw attention to a few quick ones. There's accelerated wound and bone healing, including diabetic wounds. There's increase in performance in top-class sport due to formation of energy-rich compounds, including adenosine triphosphate. There's formation of differential gene expression of proteins that then become important in the subsequent formation of cartilage cells and so on. There's increasing cell replication and proliferation. And then there's also studies that show the activity of different growth factors, such as the EGF or IGF or TGF, and so on. So there's many, many beneficial effects, and one can go to PubMed and just have a comprehensive look at how PMF has helped with many specific situations. Now, getting to the core of this, I want to spend a little time on the multidimensionality of light because this is the important point that is going to come across in this session here. So in order to consider this, what you see here is a light matrix. It has light at different, operating differently at different rows. And let's start with the source row, the top row here. And imagine light traveling infinitely fast. This creates a conceptual space. And if light were to travel infinitely fast in any volume, it would be instantaneously present across that volume. So we have a property of presence that's represented by PR. If anything not of the nature of light were to arise, then light would overpower it. So it will have a property of power. Since everything that appears or disappears in that volume would be recorded in the fabric of light, light will have an instantaneous knowledge of it, so it has a property of knowledge. And then since everything is happening in the nature of light, there's an implicit harmony that connects everything. So there's a property of harmony. Now, what you see here is in this mathematical space or conceptual space, there is now a quantization or a projection of light at a slower speed. And when this happens, then these uh, conceptual properties, presence, power, knowledge, harmony, become more differentiated so we can see more precisely what they are. And they expand due to that quantization into sets of presence, power, knowledge, harmony. We can think of these sets as having up to infinite elements that define, for example, the nuances around presence or power, knowledge, or harmony. With a further quantization, meaning light projecting itself at a slower speed, we have even a further differentiation where there's the presence of mathematically of an infinite number of seeds that are created. And these seeds are each unique and derived from a unique combination of elements from each of these four sets. Now, when light projects itself at 186,000 miles per second, that's a known speed in the physical universe, then this subtle um, array of seeds, if you will, manifests as what we call space. The possibility in the seeds requires a process of time to show what's inside the seed. So that's what time is about. The transformation from something subtle to something concrete is what energy is about. And then the coordination or the combination of seeds that form various collectivities in matter and in life, that's what gravity is about. And if we look further, we'll see that this is nothing other than it's a symmetrical face of presence, power, knowledge, harmony, because space can be thought of as a symmetrical face of knowledge, time of power, energy of presence, and gravity of harmony. The point being is that the macro parameters that define cosmos are nothing other than these presence, power, knowledge, harmony, which are properties in light. So now let's think about or look at the other key component that we need in order to actually get deeper insight into the ideal PEMF device. So here, the Sun Earth complex, we know that life on Earth has thrived under solar illumination, and then equally, the Earth's geomagnetic field that's generated by its interactions with its core have played a vital role in our existence. We know that that field protects us against cosmic radiation and solar particles, but the point is that it's come into being due to the interaction due to the Sun Earth complex. There's also a fluctuation in that field, which is important to consider. So while the field itself um, may have a strength between 25 and 65 microtesla, so it's pulsing, but the pulsation frequency is 11.8 hertz, and this pulsation frequency, one can make the case, it prevents stagnation in life's evolving forms and ensures continual adaptation. Also, what's important to consider is the naturally occurring Schumann resonances that are standing waves in Earth ionosphere cavity, and the fact that they're standing waves and have been in existence for millennia suggests that they have a profound influence on all life that is actually evolving on Earth. And studies have been done to actually show impact on human health and brain function. So let's dive deeper into light's properties in this Sun-Earth complex. So draw the correlation between the multidimensional model of light that I shared and the Sun-Earth complex that we just went over. So when we think about Earth's geomagnetic field, we can say that this reflects the property of presence because it's a base field or subtle material foundation by which possibilities implicit in that infinitely fast-moving ubiquitous light will manifest as life. When we think about the variation of intensity and frequency of the field, then that gives us the sense that it's a carrier of power, it's a light's property of power, and this guards against stagnation. When we think about the Schumann resonances, they create a system of harmony in which light can express itself more profoundly. And so it's a carrier of harmony. And also, we want to consider the fact that the Sun-Earth complex establishes an identity that's a unique state of being with possibilities of becoming. And so it becomes an archetypal imprint and allows arising within itself different reflections of light's property of knowledge, since it's an archetypal imprint. But if we think about solfeggio frequencies, this is a particular kind of, we can correlate this to the idea of knowledge. And so we can see that solfeggio and other kinds of higher, deeper frequencies are expressing something of this thing that we're calling knowledge. Now, when we look at the manifestations of light, we, of course, when I looked at when I shared the multidimensionality of light and the light matrix, we saw right away that space-time energy gravity is nothing other than a manifestation of light's property of presence, power, knowledge, harmony that sets up some cosmic parameters. But even as we look at how matter and life evolve, I can make the case that the electromagnetic spectrum is nothing other. It's architecturally, it consists of these components of presence, power, knowledge, harmony. Bosons consist of these properties of presence, power, knowledge, harmony. In fact, not just are those properties found in there, but rather the architecture of these different layers is determined by presence, power, knowledge, harmony. So perhaps taking a concrete example, when we look at the cell that we know has only four molecular plans, whether it's any kind of living cell, if it's a human cell or animal or a plant cell, there's four and only four molecular plans that are called proteins, polysaccharides, nucleic acids, and lipids. And if we dive into the essence of this, we can see that nucleic acids has something to do with knowledge, lipids that creates natural compartments in cells has something to do with harmony, polysaccharides that provide energy has something to do with power, and proteins that provide all kinds of service and are ubiquitously present in the cell are a carrier of this or are architecturally the counterpart of presence. So the manifestations of light show up and architect, if you will, these different layers of matter and life. And that's important to actually consider when we're looking at the PEMF devices. So let's just look at the processes in light's transformative alchemy. And here I'll just look at the key points. So in this light matrix, or in the way light shows up, we know that what exists in union implicitly in light, so the presence, power, knowledge, harmony that we said there are implicit properties of light, they're impelled to coordinate as one even as they explicitly show up in material life. So whether we look at the cosmic parameters of space, time, energy, gravity, or the electromagnetic architecture or architecture of atoms and so on, we can see that all four of these properties are required that have to act in unity for that architecture to have meaning. For an atom to subsist, for a molecule to subsist, for a molecular plant, for a cell to subsist. So that's important. And so light's transformative alchemy can be thought of when the myriad properties of light synergize and it brings about a profound essence. Of course, architecturally, we see the necessity of it, but the point I'm making here is that also there's another profound essence that comes forward when these four properties can merge in unity. And the other thing to consider is that when we look at the stratification inherent in the cosmos, this reveals that the electromagnetic spectrum precedes material formation. And so therefore, just intuitively, we know that to deal at the level of the electromagnetic spectrum is important for all layers of matter and life. And we also, when we consider light's transformative alchemy, there's an interconnectedness of matter and life through light's fourfold properties. So that we saw in that matrix in the manifestations of light. And I want to make the point that the potential opening of layers of local form to deeper dynamics of multidimensional light requires all four of these dynamics to act simultaneously. And so what we have here is, if I were to take some key points, so there's the mechanical action of the electromagnetic spectrum that due to its preceding other material form and having the fourfold architecture can cascade something important in other forms of matter and light. We have then the fourfold pathway, which is also can be activated mechanically, and then we have the architectural influence of having all four properties acting simultaneously as in the Silent complex. So when we get to practical considerations, let's first consider the mechanical pulsating effect of the electromagnetic field. Now, this is known to have positive effect due to its cascading chemical dynamics on atoms, molecules, and molecular plants and cells. However, not all electromagnetic fields are equal. They all won't have this profound cascading chemical dynamics. And I want to draw attention to one particular signal that has this, and that was created by Dr. Wolfgang Kafka. It's called the cloud signal, and it's built on multiple patents. And because of its complexity, it will activate a vast range. It'll create many activation energies, if you will, that will have influence on atoms, molecules, and ionic interactions. I'll go with this in a minute, but there's the cloud signal is shown over here in comparison with other signals that are also electromagnetic signals. The point being is that not all electromagnetic signals are equal. So just as when we have a drug, it exerts its effect due to active components and a particular chemical structure. Similarly, if we were to have an electromagnetic prescription, then we can think of it as exerting its positive effects due to temporal intensity patterns that, in a sense, are something like chemical structures, but without the adverse effect of chemical structures, potentially. And so what is important is the sequencing of the electromagnetic exposure. And so that's what's captured in this signal, and that's what makes it superior and will give it its power to actually cascade chemical dynamics more efficiently within a living system. Now, the other two approaches that I want to draw attention to, there's, of course, we just spoke about the cascading effect mechanically due to the electromagnetic field, which makes sense because that, of course, precedes all other matter and life from the matrix we looked at. But then also there's a mechanical approach to harness the pathway that's defined by the four properties of light. And this is something different because here what we're doing is we're not chemically cascading, but we're actually taking that fourfoldness that we know exists at each subsequent layer of matter and life, and it starts at the electromagnetic field or spectrum, and we've got to, in a sense, engineer an electromagnetic signal that will oscillate at the four distinct frequencies that can be related to presence, power, knowledge, harmony. Now, this may be happening with the cloud signal, but it would need to be corroborated. The third approach is to architecturally, it's not mechanical, it's to architecturally align life forms with the profound dimensions of the multidimensional light by harnessing light's quartet of attributes, presence, power, knowledge, harmony. So we got a glimpse of this in the Sun-Earth complex, where we have the Sun-Earth identity allowing the knowledge to be, the property of knowledge to be leveraged. We have the Earth's geomagnetic field that allows presence. We have the Schumann around frequencies that allow harmony. And we have the pulsation of the geomagnetic field that allows power. And these happen simultaneously. They're not happening due to one mechanism, but there's, in a sense, four different mechanisms that are affecting life forms simultaneously. And in some sense, a PEMF device that has been architected in the same way, I would hypothesize would have a similar profound impact on developing life forms, on life forms and the health of life forms. So if we were to just to wrap the implications for the ideal PEMF device, it should induce a mechanical and chemical cascade. Then it should emit a unified signal that mechanically engages a multi-layered pathway. So this is different from the inducing a cascade. It should emulate the Earth's geomagnetic field to architecturally establish presence. It should create power within the field by incorporating natural variations. It should generate fields that resonate with the Schumann frequencies to architecturally instill harmony. It should leverage frequencies like the solfeggio frequencies that architecturally reflect knowledge. At the same time, should produce a low intensity, intricate signal encompassing all necessary frequencies for the activation of presence, power, knowledge, and harmony in unison. And it should manipulate this complex signal to selectively project solfeggio and other frequencies. There should be a mechanism to adjust the signal output responsively based on feedback mechanisms from the living organisms. And then there should be some system for straightforward programming to tailor biohacking interventions. So in conclusion, a PEMF device designed to replicate the Earth's geomagnetic field and generate cascading effects, leveraging light's quadruple attributes, would profoundly impact living organisms. Such a device would produce pulses not only of Schumann resonant frequencies, but also specific frequencies like the solfeggio series, while maintaining microtesla level intensities. There would be a threefold influence on such a device. It would have a mechanical influence, dispelling localized dysfunction. There'd be a pathway for light's intrinsic quartet of properties, and there'll be a multidimensional influence poised to engage deeper well springs of light. This tripartite mechanism would enable life forms to resonate with the comprehensive possibilities of light, allowing the alchemy of light to act. So I want to make a point here that while existing top-tier PEMF devices are designed to optimize cellular functions, in the best of cases, light in its full complexity operates with a different logic. And in order to leverage that, we've got to have this tripartite mechanism that I basically had referred to. Thank you.